Greetings, motherfuckers! Dances with White Chicks here. Guess the obvious based on this video's title. Yep, although the week late USA release date for this film did everything it could to make it inconvenient to go see, I finally watched Mortal Engines.
Kiki, do you love me? Are you riding?
No spoilers. For the first section of the video, I'm not going to ruin anything that hasn't been revealed in trailers in the first section of the video, okay? Okay, motherfuckers. Now, I've talked about this film in the distant past. Yep, last month, when I had just discovered this film existed, and I found out from a motherfucking featurette for the film placed as a YouTube ad. Again, I wouldn't even know this shit was even something playing in theaters without that same YouTube featurette. To sum it up, Mortal Engines marketing was shit, and that shows with the box office.
Damn! You bombed up!
Shit! It could be worse, Mortal Engines. You could be attached to one of the most well-known franchises on the planet and still be flopping like another movie we know. But again, hard for a film to do anything other than flop when you had to actively search for it to know it even exists. Besides that first by chance YouTube ad, I have not seen anything else that I wasn't actively looking for when it came to this film. If the studio isn't even gonna put in effort to make sure someone can see a trailer of the movie that they are releasing, they cannot act surprised that it would flop. I mean, come on here. This is not a well-known IP. Motherfuckers don't know what this shit is. I mean, hell, the majority of motherfuckers starring in the film didn't know what the hell Mortal Engines was. And you know how studios get these motherfucking actors to lie about being fans of the shit? We're like, oh yeah, I've known this for years, I've followed this, I've been a fan. It was to the point where they weren't even going to lie about being a fan of the IP, because that would be too unbelievable.
Did you guys, if anything, know about the Mortal Engines books before you got involved with the film?
In truth, I knew nothing.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
She's right, you don't.
I read them furiously after I signed up to do the film.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think either of us knew anything about we hadn't read the books before we read the screenplay. So we read the screenplay first. I didn't read all the books, but Stephen Lang is much more industrious than I am. He read all the books.
That's hardly the case, you know, but I hadn't read them.
I knew about them and I'd heard about the project and stuff, but I, from the little I knew, I was like, wow, that sounds so crazy and stuff, but I didn't really know, I hadn't read the books myself. So when I started looking into it, it was like, wow, what is this world?
I went to the source material after the first taping and after the first taping.
So yeah, if the actors are willing to admit that they didn't know what it was, it's safe to say that not that many people know about the source material, and that you would need a better marketing push. At least better than what the fuck we have. Slapping Peter Jackson's name on it isn't going to be enough. Although, the studio probably thought it was. That's why anyone involved in this film said the words Peter and Jackson whenever they possibly could. If an actor sneezes, the motherfucker is talking about how Peter Jackson told them to do that shit. It's amazing.
By Peter Jackson and his team.
I was asked to direct it by Peter Jackson.
Hera was handpicked by Peter Jackson, of course. Handpicked by Peter Jackson.
Peter Jackson and
Peter Jackson?
Peter Jackson.
And Peter Jackson.
No, Peter
Jackson produced and co-wrote the screenplay of Mortal Engines.
He just had, I mean, when Peter had, and I mean, I had a lot of support. I mean, you know, I had Peter.
There's something I have to tell you, Peter.
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 Peter. Peter. Peter. Peter. Peter.
Peter.
Peter Jackson.
And yes, to be fair, he did actually have more to do with the film than I originally thought. He did help with the screenplay. Now yes, this motherfucker could have written down one motherfucking letter, and the marketing would still put this fucker at the forefront, but I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and say that he was a crucial part of this project. Even though he probably fucking wasn't. But as much as I would argue that the main reason Mortal Engines flopped was low-quality marketing that failed to build any awareness or interest for the film, I cannot pretend as if there's no problems with the movie's actual quality. It is simply nowhere near as good as it could have been with such an interesting premise. It's frustrating. Immortal Engines is a world brimming with potential that is thrown away to rot due to countless senseless decisions and poorly thought out direction. Now believe me, this movie is nowhere near as bad as critics are making it out to be. But I have to be objective here. There are some downright motherfucking ridiculous problems with this film, but at the same time, there is a lot to enjoy. So motherfuckers, while I'm criticizing it, keep in mind, I don't hate the film. I did enjoy a lot about this film. But what really makes me angry is how it wastes its potential. After all, motherfuckers, this is why Mortal Engines deserve better. The review by Dances with White Chicks. Maybe I should cut that shit out. Who gives a fuck? You look at the title, you see that shit, and it's like you gotta say it anyway, so fuck shit. Now, finally, time for the actual review. Shit. Let me start by saying everything I liked. This was a movie that started really strong, aside from the opening narration, which was just a character that was talking over text headings that just happened to be a character that would be important later. And that was so poorly done. It just leaves you in confusion with their groggy voice. I mean, this shit was like,
I know this motherfucker has last name to me. You're watching Jackson and you can't understand what I say. Hit or miss. I really never miss.
That was absolutely terrible. Poorly done. It's like you're hearing this Batman / Gollum motherfucker crying about Precious and shit. What is going on here? You are left wondering, how does whoever or whatever the fuck's speaking have anything to do with the premise of Mortal Engines? And this isn't in an intriguing way. It's in a this feels completely out of place with the premise way. At least if you were someone like me who hasn't read the books. But listen, the basic premise of Mortal Engines, the movie adapted from British author / American hippie grandmother lookalike Philip Reeves' book series, The Mortal Engines Quartet, is that it's a post-apocalyptic world. Cities are now on wheels and shit. They are mobile, and they chase after smaller or less technologically advanced cities and quote-unquote swallow the cities they defeat. Okay, yeah, we'll accept that premise going in. Did I get any of this from the narration? No, I got it from looking up stuff on my own beforehand. If I didn't know this info coming in, I wouldn't have learned it from this narration that you could hardly hear. But right now, that's besides the point, because clearly something that is not human is speaking. When did the premise of Mortal Engines include whatever the hell this monster-sounding thing is speaking? I was ready to see a world with cities on wheels, but I was not prepared for some non-human sounding beasts you could barely hear to be explaining the history of that same world. It's like Kodak Black explaining the lore of Lord of the Rings just because he cameos as an Uruk-hai. And thinking of that, also what makes this jarring is a complete lack of visuals. It would be a little better if you had some visuals to go along with the narration. Might as well have gone the whole Fellowship of the Ring route and had the
Okay, so the world ended in shit, and then motherfuckers made moving cities.
that shit, you know, and have the narration accompanied by visuals. But no, none of that. You're left in a state of complete, utter confusion. The screen is black as fuck. When you're in the theater, you can't see shit. You don't know what's going on. You're like, can we hurry up and get on with the movie? I thought it was in Mortal Engines. But after that, it starts off really good. It starts off with this exciting opening scene. It's an action sequence, and it's absolutely great. It's full of great visuals, stakes. The OST is nice. Not only is this fun as hell and everything, but it shows us the state of Mortal Engines. It shows us the world. No exposition needed. No lengthy dialogue to explain it. It just lets us experience the world. It world builds through the situation, and you get a glimpse of the potential the story could go. We know it's survival of the fittest between cities. We see how hopeless it is for smaller, less technologically advanced cities to survive without being destroyed, and we get to see the desperation of people trying to escape. This shit was already more effective than the narration shit. With all this, we've established the threat and the villains, and we are aware of what the conflict is. At least we thought. See, there's a few problems down the line that you'll see why this doesn't make sense. At the time, it was perfectly fine, but there's a few plot conveniences and some shit you'll see in spoilers. I'll talk about that during spoilers, but whatever. But the point is, this was a great way to start the film. Even after this opening action sequence, the movie was still showing great potential. You see a bit of London, you see these people look at our modern day world and call us ancients, and it's funny, they have some gags here and there. It's entertaining, it's great. You see, oh, I want to know more, and all that. Then those first 20 minutes are over, and it falls the fuck downhill. But hey, we'll get to that. Let me be more general about shit I liked first, okay? Okay, yes, the film has great visuals, as in giant motherfucking cities, on wheels and shit. Looks good. Somehow, it doesn't look fake. At least, not fake enough to the point where you're like, this is bullshit. And some of this shit will surprise you, like, what the hell? How are they doing this shit?
I don't know what this is. Jay, what the fuck is that? Oh man, pull back up, Jay. Come on. Come on, bro. Pull back up, bro. We're seeing some shit we ain't never seen before, kid.
But it kind of goes without saying that this film would have good visuals. After all, the director, Christian Rivers, is a storyboard artist, visual effects supervisor, and a special effects technician for Lord of the Rings, King Kong, and The Hobbit. Films that push the bar for visual effects. At least King Kong, not Lord of the Rings. You know? Visual effects happen to be one of his specialties. Okay, action-wise, he's not as good. Sure, he's good with CGI-based action, but when it comes to utilizing actually living, breathing human beings, he leaves a lot to be desired. The hand-to-hand combat scenes are very choppy with a whole bunch of shaky cam, and it's very difficult to see what the hell is actually happening. It's like this, you see the camera moving in a different angle, cameraman having to stroke some shit, and this is more noticeable at the end. But overall, if we're talking about the visuals from a CGI standpoint, yes, it was really good. I'd say the score for Mortal Engines is pretty decent, but it's not distinguishable in the same way the score for Lord of the Rings was, of course. It's no and it's none of that shit. There's a tad bit of Hans Zimmermanisms in this shit. You'll hear this with a certain character's theme, especially the da 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 da. That shit. You hear that shit? It's like, oh my goodness. But the OST is still very good. It's at its best when it's trying to sound like the British national anthem, combined with some steampunk sound aesthetics with distorted bells and shit. That is cool. It's good. And again, the concept itself is cool as hell. I mean, come on. Giant cities built on wheels. Imagine a ghetto-ass city like Compton or some shit. It's a giant city that travels around on shit. And instead it has fucking hydraulics too, and it's jumping up and down like one of those cars from the 70s. Oh shit. You could do a lot with this concept. It's really that far out there that it feels fresh and new. And that's something to be, glad, like, oh, you would make a movie like this. I'm glad that there would be a movie and people would take a risk. But the movie pretty much wastes everything good about it. All because the storytelling, the script, it is just not there. It feels completely absent of character and personality. Full of cliche bullshit. Let me explain. Let's talk about the characters. Lead character. She has the ability to whisper soft as fuck. She can hate Valentine, and then completely forget that she hates him moments later. And she has the ability of being constantly called ugly despite looking fine as hell. I mean, dear Lord. She's fine as fuck, and all these people shit on her for a scratch on her left cheek. I'll get to how ridiculous that is, but back to the whispering. If Hera Hilmar ever wants to throw in the towel for acting, she can just do some ASMR. Hell, take all of her dialogue from this film, and that's already what it is. Her voice can simply put you to sleep. Basically, she talks like she's trying to sound like Aqua from Kingdom Hearts.
Terra. Ven. I hope we're ready for the storm that's coming.
I was 8 years old when my mother died. She loved traveling the world and digging up the past.
This boy looks so sincere, just like Terra.
He used to visit all the time.
Somewhere out there, there's this tree with star-shaped fruit.
Then one day, everything changed
when the Fire Nation attacked.
Sorry, motherfuckers, couldn't help myself. Go on.
One of you might be special enough.
He would have killed me too. But I
Tara.
Yeah, I think you see my point. To be fair, she does have an accent she's trying to cover up, which for some reason the directors told her to do. Whatever, I don't understand why, but okay. But, hey, I think I could sound like I'm from the UK easily. Listen to this. Fuck off, man. See, that's all they motherfuckers say. See. Okay, but shit, back on topic. Shit. Back to Hester. There was a lot of potential with this character, but her motivations end up seeming so clunky and disjointed because the story of the film changes what it is every 2 seconds. Tom Cose! Supporting character? I don't fucking know. He's a historian from London, and he wants to, I don't know, fuck Hester? I don't know. Who knows what he actually wants, but he's along for the ride. Just like Hester, there's really not that much interesting about him. Really, the story barely fleshes out why he's doing what he's doing. But, hey, he's played by the motherfucker from Misfits, so every single dumbass face he makes, it's hard to take him seriously. I mean, oh my goodness, just every time the character looks like this, I'm fucking laughing. He's evil. There's not much to go about what actually drives him. With his backstory, it's a little unclear why he's so pro-London in the first place. But we'll get that. We'll get that. This motherfucker's quirk is to be the absolute most ridiculous character in the film. I can't get to it without spoiling shit, so I won't say much. But honestly, his mere existence is a problem for the entire motherfucking film.
What the hell? What's her name? Jose!
She can fight. Yeah, that's her quirk. She can fight. And she leads whatever the hell the anti-attractionists are.
I honestly think they are named Jose!
Looks like Larry Fitzgerald. Get the fuck out of here! Might as well have been a rock. Shit. Honestly, thinking about it, there really aren't that many standout characters with character in this film. All of them were pretty blank, without personality, that just perform Action X for reasons. Hester and Tom do have one scene where their interactions are believable, but besides that, it's mostly just them going through the motions. What makes them unique from many other trope-type characters? Not much. I mean, come on here. With the most unique as possible backstory ever, Hester Shaw is an orphan, compelled by revenge. This character backstory might be so common that a bald-head has-been rapper that gives pretentious motivational speeches and now does try-hard commercials for fucking Microsoft AI is probably thinking about suing this shit for copyright infringement. But okay, Hester is more than an orphan. Hester is an orphan with a scar. Yeah, this is like Rick Ross's ghostwriter buying KFC and writing a verse in the chicken grease just so Ross could say this writing is original. But whatever. With Tom, same shit. He is a historian that is an orphan. They love their dead parents' shit. Damn. Now, this wouldn't be as much as a problem if they also emphasize what made these characters stand out. But what is unique about the characters is absolutely wasted. That is the case with Hester especially. Now, if you didn't read the books, as I haven't, you wouldn't know this, but okay. So, Hester Shaw is supposed to look unattractive. Well, these motherfuckers failed with that shit. I'm not just talking about the lack of a scar. No. She could not have been more miscast for an unattractive character. Look at this. Seriously, this beautiful white chick actress has hit every single genetic lottery you could hit. She's white. She has pretty ass red hair. Pretty ass forehead. She's white. Pretty eyes. A beautiful vibrant skin, so clear, soft, and dainty. Oh, and did I mention she's white? I mean, she just gets my heart beating and shit. I mean,
Oh my goodness!
You're gonna have to do a lot more than a scratch to make her look unattractive. But the point is, they fucked up. People tap dance around this bullshit and they say, oh, well, you can't have your lead character look unattractive. You can't give Hester Shaw this scar like the book, because then, no one wants to see that in a movie theater. Well, discounting that bullshit, that's even missing the point. The fact that characters still treat Hester Shaw as if she's very unattractive and disgusting to look at is a stake against the directing of this film. If you're going to make this change and have Hester look attractive, well, you can't write it in where all these characters are constantly calling her ugly and making a remark of how she looks in a negative way. Like, for example, This is a minor spoiler, so hit this timestamp to skip it. Okay. Well, anyway, they're on the ship Scuttlebutt, right?
I know. Scuttlebutt, what a fucking name. Shit.
Yeah, even the actress sounds weird saying that shit.
We had Scuttlebutt.
Anyway, the lady that's in it, she's talking to Tom and asking, "Hey, is that your girlfriend?" He's like, No, I'm not with her. Fuck out of here, bro. And well, anyway, she's like, "Oh yeah, you could do way better than her." I'm like, shit. You're throwing shade? And there's also this other point. This is not a spoiler because I'm not going to specify where it is. But she gets called a swamp donkey. And he says, quote unquote, "Cheer up, love. You'll look considerably better as a roll of salami."
Really, nigga?
And
is this motherfucker trying to talk shit?
do you see how lazy this is? If you change Hester's appearance, where she's not this revolting thing to look at, then you can't have everything else adapted from that book. That depends on Hester Shaw looking revolting. And then the studio has the nerve to be surprised why this didn't work?
No shit, Sherlock.
With shit like this, you can't be surprised that I don't find these characters believable. This is so ridiculous, it is impossible to ignore. And it just shows how not even the bare minimum amount of thought needed was put into this film. And I'm not saying this as someone that is a disgruntled fan of the books that just wants Hester to be depicted with a scar, as she was in the books. No, I've never read the books. This is about the film alone. Even if this film was completely original and it wasn't adapting from a book, it still wouldn't matter. The absurdity is still there. This is practically as absurd as casting Taylor Swift as Rosa Parks in one of those try-hard Oscar bait films that Spike Lee will inevitably end up complaining about, and then having everyone in this setting pretend that Rosa Parks isn't being played by Taylor Swift. It makes no sense. This is lazy as fuck directing. You can't make this change and not follow through with it. But also, by making this change, they missed the opportunity to create a very unique character. See, if Hester Shaw remained this revolting, ugly person, right, you could explore why she'd be so isolated. You could explore why she felt like she had no hope. You could talk about all that. You could tie it into with the larger things of Darwinism and relate her lack of beauty to being at the bottom. There's so much you could have done with that concept in her character. You could have made that very, very unique and also have great storytelling to boot with it. But again, if you're going to make a change, you have to deal with the consequence of those changes. It makes everything else in the book that deals with her looking deformed and ugly less believable when we see it on screen in this same state, okay? So, if you're going to make the change, follow through with it. And don't just be lazy and adapt what's in the book when that book has the context of a disgusting looking Hester Shaw. It's just that simple. I just spent 5 minutes on that shit. Fuck, I hope I'm not rambling. But this shit is starting to sound like I'm rambling because I'm not talking about specific things, because I don't want to spoil anything yet for the motherfuckers that haven't seen the film, which is probably everyone listening to this shit. Fuck. But anyway, now that you know somewhat about the characters, let me just briefly tell you how the story as a whole for them feels poorly done. The storytelling is jangled and disjointed because the film constantly changes what the story is about. For the audience, it becomes difficult to feel invested in the numerous conflicts the movie brings up when it introduces them, only to nearly abandon them minutes later, constantly. In the first 20 minutes, during the chase scene, it establishes a great rich world of danger and stakes that you're prepared to watch and you were currently enjoying. But when you are invested in that, the story completely diverts from what was great about those first 20 minutes to change attention to Hester Shaw versus Valentine. Okay, but once you're invested in the conflict between Hester Shaw and Valentine, the story shifts away from that to include another character that completely changes everything you thought you knew about the world of the film. And then after the main focus is on that character, then it drops that nearly completely and moves on to something else. A new location you barely heard anything about before. People and locations and subjects just pop out of nowhere and or disappear and come back as if they were important. Who the fuck knows? The film simply cannot make up its motherfucking mind.
What do you want?
It's not that simple.
What do you want? What do you want?
It just isn't smooth. And also, considering how midway through the film it becomes convenience after convenience, the structure is even more of a problem. It has what a typical book adaptation film has, where a lot is included, yet none of it feels purposeful. Okay. Having multiple dense plot elements isn't a bad thing in itself. If done well, it can make the experience feel really unique. These concepts and events are obviously taken from the books, but the problem is they just do not feel smooth nor justified in their inclusion with this film. I mean, consider Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. Are there a lot of motherfucking elements all over the place with it? Sure.
You scared, motherfucker?
Yes.
You have ring wraith shits, lore about Moria, where they would go on, but it is still a journey with a clear destination, and you are aware what the characters' goals are. And the journey doesn't feel like stuff is just happening for the sake of happening. With Mortal Engines, the meaning behind events are lost, but also how they land in general is not effective. Shit just happens because it happens. When the film is over, you'll be left with questions, thinking, well, what the hell was this? Why was this in here? All these events that you have just watched, you will be questioning their importance for the film, okay? And hell, even in interviews of this shit, motherfuckers told cast members this straight up.
Is there anything more about this world that really intrigues you? Because I came out of the movie with a lot of questions. I wanted to know more about
Oh, absolutely.
And where they came from and why they were and were there any questions that you had?
Yeah, totally. I think, you know, Mortal Engines on its own, it's a lot to take in, you know?
No kidding. That's an understatement. It's more than a lot to take in. It's a lot to watch that doesn't feel important. I shouldn't be leaving wondering to myself why 40 minutes of a 2-hour film were included. With an already short running time, the fact that half of it feels as if it's consisted of things that don't matter is a good indicator that they didn't know what they were doing when it came to this film. So why did this happen? Why does this movie feel so all over the place without a clear direction? Well, if you look enough, you'll uncover this.
Peter called me on the phone and said, "Look, we're running out of time on Mortal Engines. I don't feel like I've got the energy to take it on just after finishing the 3 Hobbit films. Would you like to do it?"
So the rights to Mortal Engines were slated to expire mere weeks after it actually released, had they not released anything.
Shit, and I thought I was a procrastinator. Oh, well, motherfucker, I don't have millions on the line for that shit.
A studio cutting it this close just shows there were some very deep-seated problems with this project. In fact, you can tell that it feels as if you're watching multiple projects just jumbled together. Well, it probably was, because they were rushing it to get something out. And they probably combined stuff with things they already had done and tried to make minor improvements, but it ended up not meshing well with the new stuff they were doing, but they couldn't change it anyway. Stuff like that probably happened. So really, Mortal Engines is rushed because they had to put out something. They had to put out something, or the rights to Mortal Engines would have expired. So they banked everything on just making something that was passable and hopefully being able to make something in the future. But they miscalculated. Mortal Engines deserved more than to just be a cash grab that would end up flopping anyway. Why was there so much procrastination on this project that you had the rights for years? Here, there was so much potential to be so much more. But now, because of this fiasco, there is pretty much guaranteed to be all we see about this on the big screen ever again. And it makes me so angry. Mortal Engines was a film that deserved more care and deserves someone giving it another shot. But it won't happen because of how they handled it here. And that shit is an absolute shame. So drum roll, motherfucker. I give Mortal Engines a 7 out of 10. I know what you're thinking after all that shit I was talking. But listen, I still will say it is entertaining. Now keep in mind, this is a light as fuck 7. Really, it should be closer to a 6.5. But in my opinion, it shows enough greatness in the first 20 minutes of the film that it elevates the entire product for me. And I know, that's like, oh, 20 minutes of a 2-hour film that you like, what the fuck? But nothing else in the film was terrible enough to take away from the greatness of the first 20 minutes. Now, and that's saying something, because that middle third is terrible. It is absolutely terrible. But the final third's average. So really, it just comes off being a 7 out of 10. Because what it does well, it knocks it out the park. But when it fucks up, it absolutely fucks up. And yes, motherfuckers, I know what I said before. I said this would be either a masterpiece or a complete disaster. Well, motherfucker, I was wrong. It was neither. It was just average. Yeah, that's just the way it is. 7 out of 10. So that's really what I have to say for the non-spoiler part of this video. So, motherfucker, let's move on. Shit. Let's finally talk about spoilers. Okay, so go away, motherfuckers, if you don't want to hear spoilers from this film. I'm giving you plenty of time to get the hell out of here. So leave, motherfucker. And, oh, wow, while we wait, I might as well explain that I'm cursing again, because no matter what, my shit ends up restricted. I mean, all I said was white chicks when this one, and then bam, it was restricted. I'm like, what the, I can't say white chicks anymore? Oh, well, then I'm gonna be restricted no matter what. So, well, you know, might as well not care. That's what I said. I said, fuck it, I'm gonna try to do it anyway. Okay, spoilers. Shrike completely ruins this film. I know he was already revealed in certain trailers, but that doesn't prepare anyone for what the hell he would be doing, and how important he would be made by the plot. Out of nowhere. First off, you know what? Look at this motherfucker's design. Look at this shit. First of all, he looks more magical than technological, I'll say that shit. He looks like one of the motherfucking Draugr from God of War, if you ever play that shit. But he looks like one of those motherfuckers, combined with Lance Reddick. I know that's fucked up. That's fucked up to say, but I'm not saying that because Lance Reddick got the same shaped head. Okay, I'm lying. That's exactly the reason. But anyway, motherfuckers, when I first saw this character in the trailers, I just assumed it was going to be a one-and-done enemy. Like, you see one scene, they fight, they move on. That's just what I thought. I had no clue that this motherfucker would be that important. I didn't know what the fuck it was. I just assumed it was some type of weird technology thing. It looked more like a zombie than a robot. Shit, I didn't know. I just said, oh, I'll wait and see. But after watching the film, this character Shrike is so poorly done that there is no way you can justify him being in the film at all. If you were to cut him completely and have an entirely different storyline that focused more on the moving cities, the film would be so much better. Shrike feels like a departure from the interesting world of the first 20 minutes of the movie, and you're watching this like, this is not what I want to see. And this motherfucker's just indestructible and shit. He can go anywhere, do anything, no one can fucking stop him. And if you don't believe me when I say he's unstoppable, listen to this motherfucker.
Shrike is a resurrected man. He's an unstoppable force. He's an unstoppable force.
It's time to stop! It's time to stop, okay? No more!
Seriously, Shrike is overpowered to the point of insanity. This shit is ridiculous. It's to the point where you gotta say, what the fuck is this motherfucker made of? Who the hell and how the hell built the bitch? And then it's like, motherfucker, like, why do you need cities on wheels when you can just make fuckers like this and you can conquer everything? Shit. Remember this. I will talk about it later. But motherfucker, I mean, the shit. This motherfucker, he's crawling under fucking ledges and shit. He's looking corny as fuck. It's like a pseudo horror movie. That's for motherfuckers that know the video game Dead by Daylight. Like, he looks and acts like he's a killer from that game. Like, you try to, you have to escape, run here and hide. But all of this is besides the point, because Shrike as a character makes no sense. So let me go back and explain some shit. So, Hester Shaw was raised by Shrike after her dad killed her mother and sliced her face up. Oh yeah, spoilers. Valentine happens to be her dad. That wasn't predictable. It wasn't like the motherfucking trailers were showing her running to him like a daughter would run to a father. Who would have guessed? Who would have thought? But anyway, back to Shrike. Shrike is zombie robot stepdad. Okay, Well, this basically makes it a whole raised by wolves trope. But there's nothing wrong with that in itself. But the way this undead robot cyborg drogger father monotone daughter relationship is set up and presented is so ridiculous it's borderline self-parody. There's not a second I thought Hester nor Shrike cared about one another. Why? Well, for one, the first time Shrike is shown in the film is when Valentine goes up to him and asks why he's been hunting Hester Shaw and what will happen when he does catch her. Shrike says that Hester broke a promise, and that's why he's hunting her. And then he says, damn, sorry Thanos. This was the top father of 2018, man. Like, yeah, no comparison.
But this is with white chicks. This was done for misdirection.
Yeah, no shit. And that's the problem. It doesn't matter if they just had Shrike say I will kill her as a means to misdirect the audience and fool them into thinking he was a random enemy that just wanted to murder her. In fact, it makes it worse, because until Hester takes us to Flashback Land, we see these two characters act and behave nothing more than character A, the crazy zombie robot that popped out of nowhere, claiming Hester broke a promise and wants to kill her because of it, and character B, a woman running from a crazy zombie robot that popped out of nowhere, claiming that she broke a promise and wants to kill her because of it. So, when Hester finally tells the backstory of how she met Shrike and how Shrike raised her, well, it feels like complete bullshit, because a few motherfucking seconds ago, you weren't acting like that. Shrike didn't say shit, you didn't say shit, nothing. They, at the very least, did not interact as if they cared about each other. Okay, but what was the promise about? The promise that Shrike said Hester broke. Yep, it's completely fucking stupid. So here's when this shit is revealed, right? So Hester in the flashback is looking sad as hell. Really sad. Shrike says, "You are sad, always sad, Hester Shaw. Your heart is broken. I will take away the pain." Then he takes her ass to a robot, or should I say a robot body, and says, "I will remake you as I was remade." And Hester asks, "You gonna kill me?" And Shrike says, "For a little while."
No thanks, bro.
No reasonable person is going to go through with that shit. So you think Hester Shaw is saying, "Fuck this," and then you're thinking, oh shit, he went crazy, right? And he wanted to kill her or make whatever, right? And that's the reason she left. Nope! She agreed to that shit. She made him a promise and said, "Hey, fuck it. Just kill me and make me a robot, fam. Just fuck my shit up." In the dialogue, when Hester's explaining how she would become a robot, oh my goodness, it is so terrible. She literally breaks down a poem to Tom. Says, "I would become like him. My flesh still, my nerves water, my mind wiped clean. No thoughts, no feelings, nothing. I would be free." It doesn't matter who you had saying that shit. It sounds so stupid. Why are you breaking out poetry to Tom right now? But anyway, after Tom hears this, he does the unthinkable for his character, and he actually asks a question that isn't dumb as fuck. He says, "If that's what you wanted, why did you leave?" And Hester's like, "Valentine came within my reach." Okay, I'm gonna get to that. But then you see her leave without a trace. Shrike absolutely loses his shit, screaming at the top of his robotic lungs. In fact, it's very similar to Gollum losing the ring, except even here, it's a little more extreme. And Shrike has been chasing Hester's ass ever since. It's been 6 months of this bullshit. Well, here's what I have to say. Hester leaving. Okay, it's hard to see this as anything other than Hester suddenly remembering that she hated Valentine and wanted revenge. The 180 of her character goals are simply too sudden to brush away. She went from agreeing to letting Shrike kill her to suddenly being motivated to go after Valentine after all this time. Yeah, see, I don't buy the whole London crossed the land bridge and Valentine finally came within Hester's reach reasoning. No, that is not an apt explanation for this shit. First off, what the fuck is the land bridge? And before you motherfuckers say, "Oh, you don't know what a land bridge is." No, motherfuckers, where the hell is this land bridge? Did ancient pathways from continent to continent suddenly reappear because China and America blew each other up? So, are these motherfuckers talking about Doggerland? Or however the fuck these motherfuckers pronounce the shit? Or are they talking about some other shit that was created by the new shit. I'm pretty sure it wasn't explained in the movie and is something only book readers will understand. But even if we did know what the fuck it was, how does Hester, in isolation, someone who only has zombie robot with limited as fuck vocabulary, out here sounding like an outdated
In Soviet Russia, cities put wheels on you.
meme, in a post-apocalyptic age that I'm sure is without cell phones or people going on Twitter getting hashtag London's coming to trend in Europe, how does Hester know that suddenly London crossed the land bridge? Who or what could give her this information? It's impossible. She wouldn't have learned that if she was with Shrike all the time. Even if you make the argument that maybe Hester showed up at a town Shrike let her go to or something and heard rumors of London getting close, well, if she's willing to let rumors motivate her to suddenly want revenge, then she should already be motivated to try to seek out revenge regardless. It's like having a 1% chance of getting a Valentine, and then that chance is raised to 1.5%, and that is what changes her mind. Because it really isn't as the film suggests. London is not within her reach.
How the fuck was London within her reach when it took her 6 months trying to get on it in an attempt to assassinate Valentine?
That took a lot of time and effort, probably no different from if London had not crossed the land bridge in the first place. Hell, especially when Hester didn't even have a plan. Yeah, you can't even make the argument that she had a clear path to London after it passed the land bridge, because her plan is non-existent. Okay, what is Hester's plan again? Go and travel to other cities and hope one of them are slow enough to wind up captured? By chance?
That's not a plan.
Real heroes don't need plans.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
You'd think that traveling to random cities and just hoping that London happens to be the one to capture them is a bad idea, especially when those cities are doing everything they can to not be captured. I mean, it would be dumb as hell to have a character actually do this. Well, that's exactly what she does, which is why I said this retroactively makes the opening scene stupid. We are given no indication that Hester wanted to get captured besides her looking at her blade, which at the time could mean anything. But she has no plan because her way of getting on London is dependent on other people failing. And if they didn't and the city wasn't swallowed, what does Hester do? Try again and again? That's stupidity. Hey, but at least it shows she has motivation. See, if you were going to make the character of Hester be this motivated to go through all these lengths to assassinate Valentine, why not just have that be a part of the character from the get-go? As it is now, she was ready to give up and say, fuck it. Hey, Shrike, I promise I'll let you kill me and turn me into a zombie robot that doesn't have any emotions. And then she turns around and says to herself, oh wait, I forgot. I gotta kill my dad first. Lol, be right back, bruh. I'm not even gonna tell you that. I'm gonna make you angry as fuck, and not only am I going to have a harder time of getting around without your vehicle, but now I'm going to have to get on London, all while avoiding being captured by an indestructible zombie robot. Okay, Hester, I have a better idea. Why not just tell Shrike, the indestructible zombie robot, that you want to kill Valentine? He is an indestructible zombie robot who would probably be willing to hunt Valentine down himself and hand him to you alive to kill. He is an unstoppable zombie robot who was capable of traveling from wherever the fuck this is in the ocean to where you were in less than a fucking day. Hell, let Shrike do all the work. Hell, does Shrike even know who Valentine is? You would think after all the time of Hester growing up with her zombie robot stepdad that she would at least discuss the person responsible for her feeling so under the weather, right? How has Hester never told Shrike this? It's not even like she has to give him photos or video of who Valentine is. Hell, Shrike likes art, the way he's looking at all these dolls and shit. Get this motherfucker to draw a description of the fucker. It could look like complete shit, but at least when he sees the fucker in person, he'll go, hey, you killed my daughter's mom. I'ma fuck you up. And then the motherfucker could go after him, because he's talking to him. He's talking to him from a fucking box. What the fuck? If Shrike could hunt down Hester in a flying airship, Shrike could track down Valentine's black ass when he was talking to him in that box. Or on that ship that held the box. And what the fuck fuck place was that anyway? Like, I don't get the shit. Valentine just fucking blows the shit up. And it's like, what the fuck? Aren't there people on board and shit? Oh, I don't know. This isn't nitpicking because Shrike is made such a huge part of the film, all while sabotaging it. They were forcing Shrike into the film, even if it wouldn't make sense, and makes all the motivations of the characters around him incomprehensible. It's almost as if they originally planned for Shrike to be cut out and have Hester just want revenge all the time regardless. Yeah, but now that Shrike exists, you have to have a reason why she wouldn't just team up with him to do it, and they struggle making a reason that's believable and comprehensible. It really feels like he's in this film more so just to have conflict for the sake of conflict, rather than being an organic part of the story. Yeah, so, really, Shrike should not have been in this film. His shit is really, really fucking pointless. And Shrike's death scene, that shit is comedy gold. wait, you don't see how fucking crazy this is. Okay. Tom, this motherfucker goes to fight. You know, he'll be able to do anything to fight Greg or Shrike, whatever the fucker's name is. He gets his ass kicked. He's on the fucking. He's laying down and shit.
Mills, I want to be a doctor when I grow up.
Nigga, did I just catch you wanting to be shit?
Oh, sweet Jesus! Lord have mercy! My baby!
Shrike is about to fucking about to kill Tom, right? Alright, I'm gonna have to cut this shit out. Oh my god, fuck it. Hester goes. Okay. Hester goes to Shrike and pleads, please don't kill him. Please, he can't die. Right? And all that shit. And then Shrike just, he's just flabbergasted. And it's you want this dude to fuck you? Oh my goodness. And he has a change of heart. And then he just drops and loses the will to fight. And he just decides to die. I know people are going to say, well, oh, he was injured beforehand, and that's why he... No. That doesn't even matter, because it's only after Hester implies that she wants to fuck Tom that he gives up, and that he's falling down and shit. It was all the power of love, folks. And Hester's reactions during this entire scene, I'm telling you, this shit is worth the price of admission alone for that shit. Oh my... And it is so melodramatic. The music, oh my god. You see 1,000 fucking flashbacks and shit. We didn't even know she knew what the fuck this thing was 20 minutes ago. And we're supposed to act like she's crying and shit. We're supposed to believe it. It's supposed to land and be an emotional thing. It's just fucking trash. Oh my god. So, I'll stand by my opinion. Shrike was a fucking waste. He was not anyway necessary for this film. He's probably much more necessary in the books than he was in this movie. Though that isn't saying much. All he offers is a MacGuffin, a locket, which she could have had already. And not only still have, but at least be willing to look and see what is inside it. Damn, I've spent all this time talking about Shrike, but he is in no way the only problem with the film. Hell, I'll be here all day trying to explain everything, but hey, we already have been here all day, so fuck it, let's go. Let me talk about the character interactions in spoilerific ghetto-ass detail now. I already said that the characters feel as though they're just doing things because the plot is making them do them. Valentine is going to the giant whatever the fuck thingy where It's My Shrek in a Box is, not because he actually feels that Hester is a threat and some random zombie robot that he shouldn't know Hester has any connection with would stop her in the small chance that she is still alive and could ever do anything at all to get to him again anyway, but it happens because the movie needs a way to introduce Shrike. And while Hester is sleeping, Tom needs a yell in the middle of nowhere to these random mobile homes, so they will need to be saved by some other random mobile home that has a name that sounds like a nickname for an STD. Scuttlebutt. So the story can send them both to the auction block.
And hell, Tom yelling for help to those vehicles was a course of action so dumb that it makes me almost question if they were going for comedic relief here. How could he be so stupid? Like, hey, Hester literally just got done telling me about the scavengers and the scene beforehand. But yeah, I'm going to trust any random vehicle that would have no other reason to be out here at night other than to be hunting people. But the film needs him to do this dumbass shit just to get to the next point. Hester never looks inside the locket she's had most of her life because the plot needs her to wait until the third act of this film to have the revelation that there's something in it that can stop London's Medusa superweapon. To be fair, it is strange to expect your mother to hand you the foil to a machine she literally just unbrushed and discovered less than 2 minutes ago, and also managed to hide in a locket all while simultaneously fighting Valentine and preventing him from seeing any of it. But even if the events behind what characters are doing are contrived and not organic, you could still be able to forgive a little of that if there were at least something of value to get from the characters interacting with each other. But nope, the character interactions mostly fail, and it feels as though there's no chemistry between these characters because, I mean, this shit takes itself too seriously all the time. Hugo Weaving is a great actor, but when he has to talk to whoever this motherfucker is, I don't get a father-daughter vibe from it. They don't smile around each other. They don't talk about anything other than the shit the audience needs to hear concerning the plot. There's not that much time for them to be father and daughter. I'm not saying waste 20 minutes on useless shit, but maybe 30 seconds of something that just made me believe Hugo Weaving spawned her would be better. And to be fair, Hester and Tom, in one motherfucking scene, had a bit of this, where they're stranded outside and nightfall is coming. Well, Hester pulls out a 1,000-year-old Twinkie, and Tom loses his shit. He's looking at her like, what the fuck? You dirty, you filthy motherfucker. That shit is 1,000 years old. Didn't say those exact words, but the look gave it away. But anyway, Hester responds, and she's like, well, the food of the ancients never goes bad. And then she bites the fuck out of that Twinkie. The fuck out of that shit. It was one of the few moments in the film where Hester and Tom were bonding and the film had fun with the material. It didn't need some exposition shot. A little bit of interaction like this here and there helps you to actually feel as though the characters are alive. And they're not some fucking robots. Shit, they're not all like Shrike. Damn. But things like this shit are very, very motherfucking rare. In fact, it's the exact opposite. This is especially true with Hester and Tom. Now, again, even though that one scene was good, pretty much they have zero chemistry whatsoever. And I'm not just talking romantically. And of course, romantically, Hester cucks the fuck out of him. Did he let her... he couldn't even get a kiss at the end. You know what? It feels more so that has to do with the actress than it has to do with the actual characters and shit. Here's this funny and shit. Like, every time you see Hera right next to Robert, the actors that play these characters, it looks like she wants to fucking kill him and shit. And she's contemplating, yeah, motherfucker, I'm gonna fucking find a way to put you in a casket. It's crazy. You can tell she does not like him. She hates him. Like, she looks like she's fed up with every time. Like, it's amazing. But regardless, characters rarely interact in ways that feel memorable or realistic in this film. It's more along the lines of characters just talking to each other with no heart behind it. It's just bullshit. It's not even about them talking all stupid shit. No, that's not the point. It's just, it's constantly unbelievable, and you know they're just talking to each other because the plot needs them to. Just like Valentine's daughter, non-Hester daughter, and the mechanic motherfucker. Whoever the fuck his name was. But fuck it, moving on. Let's talk about the Anti-Traction League. Now, first off, you barely learn anything about these motherfuckers, their society, or what their goals are. You know they are opposed to the Traction Cities, but we really don't know how their societies live. We can barely name anyone in the organization, and by the time they are introduced, the film is basically over. If you are going to make the conflict between the anti-tractionists in London be the grand finale of the film, you should have been building it up that entire time. Instead, really the final battle is the first time London and the anti-tractionists clash. Everything else was because of Shrike. Again, Shrike was so unstoppable, he took out an entire town by himself. I don't know what the fuck they call it. I'm gonna call it Balloon Land, okay? Balloon Land, fuck it. But motherfuckers, it is clear what this is supposed to represent. It's environmentalism versus industrial destruction. Well, yeah, that shit's been done to death. But at least they don't beat you over the head with that shit. So, hey, Good job with that shit. It isn't completely over the top.
I want to mourn the loss of all trees I've seen!
It was at least subtle, as in, you could completely ignore the allegory if you wanted to. But this shit is completely besides the point, because what you want is for this conflict to feel like it's built up, and you're anticipating the shit in the climax of the motherfucking film. But there really isn't even the time given to the anti-tractionist to have it stick as a memorable aspect of the film. But what is worse is we don't know how the hell this league relates to Hester and her background. The film wants you to think that her mother was somehow associated with them, yet it doesn't make any sense. Anna Fang, if that is her name, the emotionless brick that is the leader of the Anti-Traction League, saves Hester from the cannibal auction, then later explains in Balloonland that she knew Hester's mother and had been searching for Hester all this time, from however older than 8 years old Hester is here. Well, yes, I'm not going to say this is cliche, you already know that it is. But here, how does Anna Fang know her mother and who Hester is?
Who's the bitch? Who's the bitch?
Unless Hester's mother had either teleportation, a contrived-ass way to time travel, or any telepathic abilities that allowed her to reach Wales and beyond, she shouldn't know who Anna Fang is. There's no time for them to have met that is consistent with the story. Okay, so let me explain. What do we know? Hester's mother, Pandora, was an archaeologist, digging up shit from, I assume, the USA after the 60-minute war destroyed both the US and China and plunged the world into an apocalypse. Okay, we also know that she worked with Valentine, or at least that Valentine visited her. She also let him hit and let him be her Valentine for at least 8 years straight. Yeah, I don't know if that movie dropped the whole Pandora was married to a motherfucker named David Shaw, but but if it didn't drop that shit, her husband was getting cocked beyond all belief. He's in the cuck shed on wheels while Hugo is weaving in his wife and making him take care of Hester. Damn, that's crazy. But anyway, she isn't doing this archaeology shit for the sake of it, of course. She has to be doing this for London, right? Okay, so Pandora is from London, right? She is on this expedition for London. And we may not know the specifics of everything, but surely Valentine is on London at this time and had already worked his way up to the top of the crop. So, this is implying that Pandora is a double agent, correct? She's working for London's government while collaborating with an organization directly opposed to them, right? So, London is a moving city. If Pandora was born and raised in London, there is no chance that she would have ever known who the hell Anna is unless Anna somehow traveled the other side of the post-apocalyptic map to North America during this expedition, which I doubt.
Nigga, are you okay? Nigga, are you okay? Are you okay, nigga? Loafers with the White Sox. Loafers with the White Sox. Are you okay, nigga?
Who the fuck knows if Annie was okay? Pandora has no way of communicating to anyone in the league if she was on London. The only time this could happen is if it was during the expedition, or if Anna was around some other unexplained time. But it doesn't feel like that is what they wanted for the character. If Pandora is so aligned with the Anti-Traction League, why is she willing to let Valentine, one of their main adversaries, father her baby? What does this have to do with their cause? Why is she actively helping? I don't know. Once again, there's too many gaps in the story to be able to really fully appreciate what they're trying to go for here. See, the Anti-Traction League, it's really like, what the fuck is it? How does it connect to Hester Shaw? And why is what she's doing now really pertinent to her own situation? And why would she even want to join it in the first place? Well, technically, did she even join it? Who fucking knows? All I'm saying is that it was a missed opportunity. And I'm gonna wrap this up, but one last thing I have to say. Valentine himself. There's so much shit that is so forgettable when it comes to Valentine. I mean, fuck, I forgot his daughter. And no, I'm not talking about Hester. I'm talking about his other daughter. A daughter who I don't even know what their name is. Shit, I mean, all I know is that she was flirting with a motherfucking plumber. These motherfuckers. See, they're putting in all these different type of movies in this shit. I forgot about him with the mayor motherfucker or whatever this shit was. general, I'm not sure what they called him. But this motherfucker with the shits, him.
Hey, you snatch my chain, I'm gonna beat the fuck out you. Let's go.
Yeah, see him? There we go. I'm talking about this motherfucker. Yeah, I forgot about them. And the fact that Valentine takes over London with a few people that shoot people that are loyal to this dude. Actually, I'm wrong. First, Valentine shoots Mayor Motherfucker after Mayor Motherfucker showed up and was like, oh, look at this Medusa weapon. We can't have this shit. This is horrible. Let's get rid of, don't do this shit. Valentine's just like, ha, fuck you. And this gun that he shoots the motherfucker with it. I'm like, this shit is rattling. This shit is powerful as fuck. I'm like, shit. This he really fuck. This is like some Tarantino type shit. Valentine shoots the fuck out of this motherfucker. But what I was thinking of is when he's driving London into the wall. Well, he gets these motherfuckers to shoot people. They're already loyal to him. It's like, just tell him to ram the wall. What the fuck? Oh, shit. It's like Valentine. You control London already. You can literally just order everyone in that control room to go ram the wall Shengguo, since they already destroyed the super weapon. And they're like, oh fuck, no, fuck that shit. We're not giving up. We're gonna ram this motherfucker. Okay. Would there be some people that would fight against you? Sure. Then you could kill the motherfuckers. But as it is now, Valentine's talking to his daughter, all right, and he's like, oh my god, I'm about to fucking break down, fucking just laughing and shit. He says, that wall's coming down. Fuck that noise. I'm not. Fuck it. And then these random fucking henchmen, the same people that were probably at the prison that Shrike was at, right? They just fucking open up this shit, and they just open fire. They just starts to say, fuck it, just boom, 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 boom. And then the fucking. When you see this dude, look at his face. Oh my god, the expressions they have while they're shooting. Oh my god. Oh my goodness. And I'm like, this is abrupt. It doesn't really show why they would be doing this or how. Whatever. But anyway, Valentine's motivations seem a little shifty. One, because, well, he was brought in to London. So I assume that his original city was captured. And he became a citizen of London, and he worked his way up to the top. Okay. That's one thing the film really didn't get to, was the tier system of London, which, to be fair, I think they tried to have some shit going on when they had that one worker motherfucker, who I really don't even remember his name, the one that's with, Valentine's daughter and shit, other daughter, other than Hester, who I also don't know who the fucking thing, I don't know either of those characters. But Valentine's motives. Okay, let's say they're mustache twirling villain level. Okay, but that isn't what ruins a character. You can have villains that are evil for the sake of evil and have them be compelling as hell. It's just that the performance of Valentine, what they do, the way their dialogue is written, anything else, it's just not memorable. It just doesn't set him apart from any other type of villain that just does shit. Does that make any sense? You can be evil for the sake of being evil and be a really cool villain. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not one of those motherfuckers that say, oh, a villain has to have sympathetic motives. Bull fucking shit. The problem is more aligned the way he talks, the way he presents himself. But like, for example, come on. This motherfucker at the end of the film, talking to Hester, he literally says the phrase, your mother never told you, did she? Wait. I completely forgot to talk about this. But Hester is holding Valentine at gunpoint when he says this, and he brings up that he's her father and shit, right? Well, you're thinking, how is she getting distracted? What is he doing, right? Well, anyway, you know what she's thinking of? She's thinking of walking in on Valentine with her mother and remembering that shit. And then Valentine grabs the fucking gun and is like, huh, you let your guard down. She literally let her guard down because of thinking about when she walked in on her parents. Oh my god! Oh my god! Who writes this shit? And then they're saying, oh, it's basically I am the father cliche, but it's presented in the same exact way, the same bullshit, the same fucking type of villain tropes. It's fucking old. It's like, it's not distinguishable from anything else you would see. And because of that, Valentine falls short. Now, I've pretty much been negative for the past 30 minutes when it comes to the spoilers of the film. But let me talk about some positives. One thing that you can appreciate in this film is that it's standalone. It does not sequel bait at all. Well, motherfuckers, you're not getting a sequel. But, hey, they ended it like you wouldn't need it. Now, I can understand. On one hand, it's like, well, you built London to be this horrible, this force to be reckoned with. You would rather the shit to end with them winning or some shit, or having some other way where, like, oh, they lose in the end or some shit. Something like that. Because you're thinking, hey, I want to see more potential with this. I want to see London regroup and be more dangerous than ever and going after these motherfuckers or something like that. But no. But it's still a positive that it doesn't sequel bait. It focuses on the mess of a story it has already, so it doesn't bother saying, oh, here's some shit in the future. Come watch Mortal Engines 2. And as much as I talk shit about some of the actors in this film, no. I think it's mainly the writing that's the problem. Listen, Hera Hilmar, you may not have read the shit that I typed from all these motherfucking ghetto-ass shits, but anyway, no, she has a good performance. Like, you can see the emotion in her shit. She really gets into it. You could tell. She's a great actress, okay? The writing was just not there for her, okay? That's the same with any of these. And the same thing with Tom. This motherfucker should be comedic relief. Over here, this motherfucker, like I'm laughing at his dumbass expressions and shit, but he's not really the comedic relief character he could have been. And I don't know if that's what they were going for, but apparently they try in a little bit, but fuck. But even with that said, there's moments where, Tom's actor is still trying to show the charm and shit. At least trying. So these actors are trying. You can see that they try. At least the main ones. I'm not talking about the side motherfuckers because we got the Chocolate Rain motherfucker in this shit. And then I forgot to even mention him. Okay, now for real this time now. It's time to end this shit. Fuck. So with all this said, how can I justify a 7 out of 10, and why wouldn't it just be a 6.5? Well, again, I say its strengths are enough to put it there. Its premise, its few moments of greatness in the beginning, I believe truly do set it apart and make it feel distinguishable from any other type of blockbuster. But it also made me want to see more, and see if they could make an improvement and give us a way better film out of the source material, which I believe they could. But unfortunately, that's never gonna happen. And it's a shame. If it was just reviewed a little better, if it was just marketed a little better, and if the movie itself was just a little better, we would definitely have a sequel. But again, it is not that bad. Its mistakes could be fixed if it was given a little more time, which they didn't. Because they procrastinated for 10 motherfucking years and ended up putting out some shit that was rushed as fuck, not really well done, and full of bullshit. But it still wasn't completely terrible. Talking about Mortal Engines, just to clarify. And although I'm not gonna argue that this movie deserves praise, I will say, maybe critics were just a tad bit harsh on this. I mean, there's plenty of blockbusters that Mortal Engines is better than. Many of the complaints about the pacing, or the cliches, could be applied to other blockbusters that were not as harshly panned, or some that weren't panned at all. Again, that's not to say that Mortal Engines is this misunderstood masterpiece, but just to say that, I mean, if you're giving leeway to these other motherfucking films, give leeway to Mortal Engines too. It is an average movie, and a 7 out of 10 is an average score. But motherfuckers giving this shit 1 out of 10s and shit, 2 out of 10s, and saying that, nah, that's a little bit of an exaggeration. I mean, come on. I mean, look at this Rotten Tomato shit. There is no reason why Mortal Engines should have a 28% on Rotten Tomatoes, while The Last Jedi has a 91% critic score. Why, oh why, are critics able to forgive all the glaring issues with The Last Jedi, yet not be able to do the same for Mortal Engines? After all, come on, Mortal Engines has more exciting chase scenes. has villains that aren't completely fucking stupid, and it has a more fulfilling theme, and at least it doesn't have a character outright state what the fuck the theme is. I mean, come on, there couldn't be more than 28% of critics that thought this was above a rotten score, but only 9% of professional critics thought The Last Jedi was deserving of a rotten score. I like it. I'm just saying be fair, but whatever, I'm not going into this bullshit. But should you watch this film, all things considered? I'll say, why not? Give it a chance. You might be surprised. Or if not, hey, at least you could drink some shit and then laugh at some of the bullshit in this. If you do watch it and have a similar reaction to mine, you might like it, but you'll realize that it falls completely short of its potential. It could have been way better, and it should have been, because how often do you get a premise like this on the big screen? That's why it deserved better. It deserved a better team making it. It deserved better treatment from critics. It deserved a better marketing team. Mortal Engines deserved better. So, hey, I outlined all that shit, so hey, fuck it. It's time to actually end this shit. Can't believe I'm actually saying that shit. It's finally over. I'm done with this bullshit. Yeah, this review kind of disappointed, didn't it? Ah, fuck. But you know, well, honestly, thank you, motherfuckers that are here, actually listening to this shit. By the time you see this review shit, you've probably watched it on DVD at least. Well, tell me what you thought. Hell, you know, subscribe so you can join in whatever other shit I do. All that. Yeah, let's see if anyone sees this shit.